if you didn't know, friends, now you know. It's the new year. Happy New Year. I hope that your celebrations were safe and sound, surrounded by good food, good family, good friends, joyfully inebriated and full of laughter. I know I was. To be honest, this is one of my least favorite times of the year. At home, it's really cold, it's snowing, there's a lot of wind chill. Here in Georgia, there's nothing but rain. Christmas threw up in Target in October, and now 2 months later, when I'm finally able to enjoy the holiday spirit, it's over. It's all over. Then I get to experience the same thing next year. Yay. But funny enough, actually, going into this year, I'm feeling renewed. There's a sense of peace. There's a sense of good feelings. And I think it's because I've taken some extra steps to love on myself a little bit more as we are transitioning into the new year. So for today's video, I am sharing some of the practical ways that I have included more self-care into my life to prepare for the new year. But first, a disclaimer. When I use the words self-care, I don't necessarily mean bubble baths, face masks, juice cleanses, cozy, shopping mood boards, baking, cozy wipes, meditating, baking, ice cream, mood boards, mani-pedi days, wine nights, shopping, etc. Most of those things in which involve getting dopamine hits from other temporary actions or purchases. Now, of course, I realize that feeling renewed and happy and joyful is going to look differently for everyone, either physically, mentally, spiritually, socioeconomically, etc. But what I do know is that self-care in its healthiest of forms is responsibility to yourself to reset and seek this sense of happiness and comfort and safety as you're living your life. And this is not only just some luxury only some or the wealthy can afford. And if we leave our definitions of self-care as to only indulge to treat yourself, or using it as a means to do what is easiest in the moment, say skipping out on that lunch date with your friends or not tending to your finances in a timely manner. These accumulating actions and choices goad us to slip even further into these unhealthy habits and cycles. And I don't want that for you. You need to take care of yourself, or you'll die. Okay, so now that all of that is out of the way, let's begin. The first thing that I've done is that I have started to walk for about 30 minutes every day to replace my exercise regimen. As much as I like to think that exercise is important, I really like moving my body and being fit, I don't like to work out, y'all, okay? My favorite pastime is cursing out the instructor as I'm doing the virtual workouts, and then I realize this is a virtual workout. They cannot hear me. Why are you sitting there watching me do burpees? This is illegal. This is immoral. I don't like this. So instead of completely saying screw it, I had to ask myself, okay, what is the smallest thing that I can do to get myself moving and active every day that is not going to kill me? Considering that I actually like walking, it is a required thing to do in my life to get from place to place. It is mindless. I can multitask while I am doing said exercise. It was easy. Just walk for as much of an amount of time that you would while you were strength training and see what happens. And I think that that has worked really well for me. Like doing a 30-minute walk is like 1 and about a 4th episodes of anime right there. That's perfect. So I think we all know that studies have shown for years some type of movement outside every day for at least 30 minutes encourages the brain to release endorphins. Endorphins are a neurotransmitter that is released in our body to boost our mental health, helps you burn more calories, and actually enhances your physical mobility as you age. Another disclaimer, I'm also aware that this is probably not the best solution for anybody that is watching this video, and that is totally okay. And I hope with time and patience, you'll be able to find the different types of sports, exercises, or whatever type of movement active regimen that will help you feel good and strong in your own body. I would also suggest that if you can, getting more sunlight during the day. This will increase your brain's production of serotonin, helps decrease blood pressure, and just overall makes you feel a lot better. Drinking more water sounds a little bit more obvious as I'm saying it, but considering that I completely changed the way that I consume water in the past couple of years, I don't drink as much tap water anymore. I thought it started to get really boring for me. A little bit of Perrier and some lemon juice. Ooh, that is top tier. So even though I have another way to consume water with the sparkling water and the hot tea that I drink, I realized that as I started to record how much water I was actually consuming, I was definitely below average on how much I should be. Oops. The U.S. National Academics of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine has determined that an adequate daily fluid amount intake is about 15.5 cups. That's about 3.7 liters of fluids a day for men, as well as 11.5 cups or 2.7 liters of fluids a day for women. So now with these things in mind, I'll be doing my best to be more aware of when I should be drinking a little bit more water instead of defaulting to having a snack whenever I'm thinking that I'm feeling hungry, when in fact I think that I'm just thirsty. I'm not going to be telling you outright that you should be guzzling down more water if you're not comfortable with it. If drinking more water is something that you're working towards right now, maybe taking more smaller sips of water as you're eating will help you ease digestion as well as get more of those fluids in that you need. You know, take a bite, then take a sip of water. Take a bite, take a sip of water. Okay, moving on. This is another thing that I've actually done for years and didn't realize that people just do not do it. Taking myself on solo dates, doing something entirely by myself, going to a movie, going to a bar or restaurant, getting a couple of drinks, has given me so much freedom and confidence to experience things that I want to without having to rely on my partner, friends, or anybody else for me to experience that thing. And now that I'm fully vaccinated, as well as living in a new state, like this is just giving me that renewed sense of exploration and experiences that I need to just have and discover while I'm in a new city. And of course, if you're in a relationship, this gives you the amount of time and distance that you need to miss your partner. You know, distance makes the heart grow fonder, right? And if this is too much or feels really uncomfortable, I really hope that you all remember that this is something to just try, and at any moment you could just walk away, go home. No hard feelings, penalties, or consequences. And maybe give yourself a time limit so you don't immediately just back out of doing the thing. This is, of course, a chance to dip your toe in the water. Now, say you're a person that is a parent or guardian, and you feel like you have a lot of obligations at work and you can't necessarily get away or feel like you can ask permission to get more of that extra time to yourself. With this experiment, you might have to consider waking up either a little bit earlier or going to sleep a little bit later. So, of course, making sure that you figure out something that is comfortable with your lifestyle. I'm not a parent, I'm not a guardian, and I have no idea what people's lifestyles look like because of that. Take this with a grain of salt. I have no clue what adjustments you might need to make sure that that works for you. Next, I'm also not the only one that has an ever-growing to-do list, and some of these things on the to-do list just don't get done. They get to the bottom of the list, they aren't priorities anymore. So instead of having to wait and just see whenever you're going to get to that specific tasks, why not try and set aside an admin day for yourself so you can actually evaluate what needs to be done at the bottom of your to-do list. This could be like looking over your finances, finally doing your taxes, cleaning your house, donating old clothes, finally making that doctor's appointment so you can check that mole. You know what I'm talking about. Now for me, admin days happen for about a few hours every week, usually on Sundays. They normally don't take a whole day for me, but if this is too much for you, an hour can be just as effective. The most important thing is to determine what is that something or a couple of things that have just been left on your to-do list that might take you maybe 10, 20 minutes, or even that whole hour. You can register to vote in less time. And of course, this means to also use whatever means or tools that are necessary to make your life simpler and to help better enjoy that process. Even more so, grab a couple of friends, make it a whole like wine night admin day thing, like as a group. Another thing I'm making more of a habit to do is courtesy of my favorite love language. Gift giving is the epitome of love languages. I should know. I'm very biased. I love gift giving. That is my love language. Especially if you give me food, like giving me or just like paying for my food. Yes, love that shit. But in all seriousness, there is nothing more exhilarating than the anticipation of actually giving a gift to somebody that you know for a fact that they will love it. And of course, like making sure that you get your wants and experiences like met and needed, like that's great too. Also considering that gift giving can be very expensive depending on what type of things that people like. If this is too much, why not make a gift instead? People love crafts, people love art. And also compliments are gifts too. I don't know if anybody like just doesn't consider that as a factor when you're physically like giving gifts away, but just giving somebody a compliment about their shirt or their new hairstyle and things, like that is an incredible gift to give somebody. That is a boost of confidence that you're giving away for free, especially when people aren't feeling at their best. I'm also making a consistent habit to utilize all of my grounding techniques to the best of my ability. That includes journaling, that includes all of my affirmations, that also includes all of the 5 senses exercises that I tend to do. Again, this isn't something that is for everyone. I totally understand where meditation and journaling can be full of crap for some people, but finding that meaning and focus in these grounding exercises gives me more clarity and focus, and I'm sure that experimenting with some of these can help you find that grounding focus as well. Now, when I say the 5 senses exercise, that means that I am looking around in all of the environments that surround me, and I am focusing on every single sense that I'm experiencing. So I am touching something right now, a piece of paper. I smell the different spices in the air. I am tasting spit in my mouth. I am seeing this lantern right there behind the camera. And if this is too much, then I would suggest that if you are a music fan, I am hoping that there is at least one piece of music that just brings you so much joy and calmness every time you put it on. For me, that is the Besaid theme from the Final Fantasy X original soundtrack. Every single time I put that on for myself, I just feel so much more calm, so much more focused and renewed. It just feels like a wave, literally, of course, because it's Besaid Island, is rushing over me. Ooh, the 2-minute rule, the 5-minute rule, I mean, you know, whatever it's called. You are giving yourself a specific timeline to physically touch or start a task, which helps motivate you to complete the task through. Now, I will fully admit that this isn't a foolproof way to start something and keep myself motivated to actually finish it. Sometimes I will sit at my desk for a few hours and just will not touch that script. But this gives you more of an inclination on what you are feeling very motivated and inspired to do, and some things that maybe it's going to take a little bit more effort to actually do said thing. I'm going to take this a little bit further and talk about how the 2-day rule actually helps me get more inspired to use the 2-minute rule to finish my tasks. Essentially, I'm making it a better habit to journal, exercise, whatever the case is, committing to myself that I do not skip 2 days of continuous whatever the task is. So if I'm working out on Monday, I decide that I don't feel great on Tuesday, I'll skip it, but then Wednesday, I know that I need to go right back into it. This works even better with a visual counter to be able to keep yourself accountable so I don't lose my momentum. And I give myself the rest and space that I need to recover. And finally, I am reducing the amount of self-help and self-improvement materials that I consume. So having to take in all of the things that I should be doing for the sake of doing them, that hasn't necessarily helped me get any better with the things that I want to focus on. So instead of having to filter all of the things, I just want to step back and actually enjoy what I have been able to cultivate for myself as being productive and happy, and go from there. And funny enough, I found a book recently that gives me a lot more clarity on this, Radically Content by Jamie Varon. I think I'll be writing up my findings in a newsletter sometime soon, so again, make sure that you subscribe below. And I want you to remember that practices like these is not only about finding a means of self-care that's practical and nice for your lifestyle, but also it's attainable, consistent, and overall just making things less painful as you experience things. Building all of these practices bit by bit helps create the traction to care for yourself better and even find joy in accomplishing all of those scary things. But also, I want to hear from you. I know that there are some self-care things that are on my list that maybe you don't necessarily do. So what are those things that you do? I would really love for you to comment about them below, and yeah, I'll see you next week.